Don't forget that your skin is your largest organ, and the sun can be your skin's worst enemy. Dermatologist recommended Neutrogena products offer the ultimate protection for your skin. From makeup remover wipes to Hydro Boost Water Gel Facial Moisturizer, BJ's has your entire lineup of Neutrogena skincare products. And now through December 3rd, save $4 on any Neutrogena product at BJ's. Love your skin back and save now through December 3rd, only at BJ's.
We all know a guy who only occasionally shaves for big occasions, and it's because that occasional shave really hurts. It's the time of year for big occasions, and yet there he is, suffering with that cheap drugstore razor. Let's help him out. Henson Shaving's line of razors, built with aerospace precision, deliver a smooth shave your dad, brother, and even son can enjoy, eventually. With replacement blades just 10 cents each, you'll buy it once, and they'll use it for life. How's that for the perfect gift? Celebrate with 100 free blades on your first purchase, and no subscription headaches. HensonShaving.com/holiday.
Hey y'all, how y'all doing today? This is Maurice.
And this is Kafi.
And thank you for listening to
the No Fruit Podcast.
And you can listen to us on
you can listen to us on all platforms where you can find podcasts. We're on most of them. Check us out.
Right. And you could be fit. That means Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And we want to just come to y'all today. We're in this hard to say, we're in a holiday season, I guess. It feels like it a little bit, with everyone being home, and we're all dealing with this whatever is going on in the world right now together. But to me it feels almost like a holiday. Everybody's home from school and work, and we get to have moments together.
Amen.
And to me it's a blessing for me. Because now we get a chance to sit down and slow down a little bit, where we might not have been able to do that before. So what you think, Kafi? How do you think about this right now?
This is a blessed time. This is, we're approaching Holy Week.
Right.
So I'm forward. Bless everybody.
So as Kafi said, we're coming up onto Holy Week. We're going to talk about a scripture right now. We're going to talk about, our reference will be John, the 12th chapter. We're going to start at the 13th verse. Took branches of palm trees and went forth to meet him and cried, Hosanna, blessed is the King of Israel that cometh in the name of the Lord. And Jesus, when he had found a young ass, sat thereon, as it is written, Fear not, daughter of Zion. Behold, thy king cometh, sitting on a colt ass. These things understood not his disciples at the first, but when Jesus was glorified, then remembered they that these things were written of him, and that they had done these things unto him. So it goes on and talks about a little bit, in this particular chapter, it goes a little more into what happens after Passover. After him being exalted, people screaming Hosanna, waving palms in the streets. And then it goes into, of course, being betrayed and, things like that. Time is at hand, things like that. So, but today we just want to talk to you about Palm Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And, that for me was always the indication for me personally was, hey, my birthday time feel like a celebration, because this particular year, my birthday is actually on Easter.
Okay.
So for me, either my birthday has always been right after Easter, on Easter, Palm Sunday, so it's always been in that holiday mode where we're wearing new clothes and things like that. So for me, it's just kind of been it's been interesting for me. But as far as my church, it used to be a joyous celebration. We really it was nice to see these stewards and stewardesses. And for those that don't have stewards or stewardesses, those are deacon and deaconesses in other churches.
Okay.
Excuse me. And to see them passing out the palms and our organist going crazy, just playing instrumentals, and the pastor, it was such a joyous time that it felt even more joyous sometimes than Christmas.
Okay. Yes.
Because we're celebrating, the life of Christ, and we understand what happens leading up to his resurrection the following week. But it was a joyous celebration time, and we were really into it.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you?
Let me see. So my birthday is not near the holiday.
Right.
Mine is near some other holidays.
Right.
But I would say, yes, like yourself, I did look forward to Palm Sunday growing up. Like you said, the issuing of the palms, and I do recall being a little kid and, somebody behind you taking the palm and tickling in your ear.
Right. All the childish stuff.
People beating each other with them. You're getting in trouble. The pastor pulling you all afterwards. Y'all need to sit down. And then taking them apart and then making things out of them, crosses, and weaving them together to make different things. So, I remember all of that. And so it brings fond memories. I still do look forward to getting my palms, every year. Even though I still probably have some from the year prior.
If not 10 years prior.
Not that long. But yeah, I do always look forward to Palm Sunday. I do recall one time once we had gone back to Jones that, because you had said, Maurice, that not the deacons, what do you call them?
Stewards.
The stewards and stewardess had given out the palms when you were coming up. But I do recall, I remember when our kids were small, they came to me and said, well, does your daughter have a white skirt and a white shirt?
Right.
Because we want her to give them out on Palm Sunday. And she didn't have a white skirt, but I went home, I got some white material.
Yeah.
And I sold my daughter a skirt.
Right.
So that she could wear it, that Palm Sunday. And, help in distributing the palm to all, everyone on that Sunday. So I felt proud about that I was able to make my daughter a skirt. And I didn't have to go out and search high and low to find one.
Right.
So we had some material and we were able to do that.
Yeah, I think for myself, like you said, when we had gone back to Jones, that's where they had adopted that type of method of distribution.
Okay.
And not saying that it didn't happen when I was younger, but I do recall them making sure that everyone did not get more than like 3 strands.
Oh, look at you.
Because sometimes the kids, they're not as careful as to how much they're giving out. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Jones Tabernacle, y'all only gave out 3 strands, but it was just making sure that everyone.
That's all you need, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost.
Well, I understand. You're right. But I just want to make sure that I understood that, hey, you want to make sure that everyone there was going to get some.
Right.
That wanted some. If there was some left, come up and get some more. But let's make sure that everyone was going to get some.
Get some, right.
So
and everybody, I have to give some to my neighbor, and I need one from my mother, and so that adds to it as well.
And with that, singing Hosanna, blessed be the rock. That was our song.
Okay.
That was our song. For those of you, I think that's more of a song that most people sing. For the most part. But I know that you had a song that y'all was singing. You said nobody else really sang that song.
Nobody else really sang that song. I went to go try to get a hymnal and try to figure out where we got this song from. I looked it up on YouTube. Everybody that sang it was very, very country. So I really don't.
But we did find it, though.
We found a version of it.
You want to play it for us real quick?
Oh, you want me to play it now?
Yeah.
Okay, give me a moment.
Right.
I have to get technical here. All right, so here we go. I don't know how loud it's going to be. We didn't do a test trial on this.
You playing it? you know, my church, we didn't sing this song.
No.
I mean, that doesn't mean that other churches didn't sing it, but that just wasn't our song.
Oh, yeah, we would wave those palms and we shaking them and everything. So, yeah. No, we didn't have all the drummers and all that kind of stuff.
Y'all didn't have drummers?
We did, but I don't think it was necessarily on that day.
On Palm Sunday?
Yeah.
Y'all didn't have a drummer on Palm Sunday? That's a special Sunday.
We had a drummer mostly on Youth Sunday.
Palm Sunday wasn't a youth Sunday? Or Easter was a youth Sunday?
It depends on what time frame you're speaking of. So my growing up, I would say from middle school through high school, no, we didn't have a drummer. Okay. We only had a drummer on Youth Sunday when the youth choir, the young adult choir, let me fix that. When the young adult choir sang. Oh, got you. We had a drummer because our musician had a drummer with him. Okay. So for a regular Sunday service, regular Sunday worship, first, second, third Sunday, fifth Sunday, there was no drummer. You just had your piano player and your organist, depending on which choir was singing. So, no, we did not have drums. We had foot stomping and hand clapping.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Hey, that's the old timers.
Right.
You should say we was a storefront church, and that's the way we operated.
Well, for coming from the church that I'm coming from, where my church
Cathedral.
was like, old Catholic cathedral. Mm-hmm. To go to your church, it felt like a storefront type church.
In the history of the church, it was a storefront. It did start as a storefront, and it kept that, culture, that nature, that hand stamp, hand clapping, foot stomping sound.
So, I want to say that understanding the history of your church from the little bit that I know, and we're talking about her church's named Emmanuel AME Church. But it did change its name to Ward Emmanuel AME Church. It did have a merger of the two churches located in West Philadelphia. Emmanuel used to be in the Eastwick section of Philadelphia, and or Elmwood. It depends on who who you talking to.
If you're really saying it, they would say Elmwood.
Yeah, I'm not sure where they got that part from. But
I don't know either. They also said zinc.
Right.
And the suey hole.
But I think that come to find out that my family, my father's side of the family, that was their home church for a while. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know that. It was kind of ironic how, come full circle. Not being around my father's family then as I had become an adult. And what was even more interesting is that the lady that used to watch over the young people at the church, and she eventually, was like a grandmother to Kafi, and
she was a babysitter, or
eventually had become a babysitter to our kids.
Yes.
And so keep in mind for us, and this is just how 6 degrees of separation is just interesting. How over a period of time, she never put two and two together. As she said, she heard my last name before, but she didn't think that I was actually related to those persons.
At her church. Long time ago.
Right. Mind you, my aunt had been the organist for Emmanuel for years on top of years on top of years. So that was a whole interesting dynamic. Again, for me to come full circle to that. So to some degree, I feel like, Kafi and I, we were destined to be together in more ways than one. So that's just one example. But anyway, that church, when I had first attended, I didn't get that whole down home vibe necessarily.
What did you get?
It wasn't that. All right, so the musicians there were either playing tracks or.
You came on a youth Sunday.
Well, it wasn't just youth Sunday. I was there some other Sundays. I don't recall the down home clapping, foot stomping piece.
Okay.
I don't recall that part. Not until a little later on, maybe, but not in the very beginning of you and I dating.
Okay.
It might have been a couple years. It might have been even after we had gotten married when I had that experience. Truth be told. So, but I can see for one thing, for your church, just for the size, I could feel how a Palm Sunday will feel a little more. Even the spirit might be even a little higher, you know, in a church that's a little more, you know, a little smaller, a little more compact, where the people are closer together. You could really, truly feed off of each other. So even with that, I can imagine what it was like to be in the streets when Christ was riding on the donkey. You know, what type of feeling was that? What type of high would those persons have been on? That doesn't mean in the church in my church that was a little bigger than yours. We didn't have that vibe,
Right.
But I could just imagine in a smaller, more loving atmosphere what that could be like. You were about to say something? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
You know, so what is that for you at your church? You know, are you feeling the same way at your church? You know, tell us what goes on, how your Palm Sundays go. You know, are your deaconesses, stewardesses, you know, are they passing them out, or are the little young ladies passing them out in their white dresses and white gloves and tiaras and things like that? You know, because that's a cute little sight too, to see the little girls do that.
Right. Depending on how little they are, sometimes the palms are as long as they are tall.
Right.
So that was always quite interesting to see them do that. But yeah, so again, Palm Sunday meant a lot. Again, you look forward to it. One, because that just lets you know, hey, you're out of school for a week.
Yeah.
You know, and then also you're getting ready for Easter. Like Maurice said, you know, he got to get an Easter outfit. And I know in our high school time, you got, well, for me, maybe got a church outfit and a non-church outfit.
Right.
You know, you got to get your new spring sneakers.
I mean, look, those of you who were from Philly at that time, everybody, which I don't understand, why would you get a new outfit just to go to the zoo?
Because
That was the thing for us here in Philadelphia area. I don't understand it. Now that I sit back and think about it, you know, if the monkeys decide to do something and play around with you, you're like, you know, I don't understand why you wouldn't go to the zoo in your new clothes.
You wasn't going where the monkeys went.
I mean, look, I'm just telling you what was in my mind.
Okay.
I'm just saying what was in my mind.
I never went to the zoo. I think I was prepared to go one time, but some of us weren't. I don't know. We just didn't seem to get to the zoo that day.
Okay.
I think we had also talked about like going down to Penn's Landing, or South Street, things like that, you know, to kind of hang out. But most of all, we always started with church service.
Yeah.
Now, Palm Sunday, was that always like on a traditional 11 o'clock service? I know you said like for Easter you had a sunrise service, but what about Palm Sunday? Yeah. Was that always at 11 o'clock service?
Oh, yeah, it was. Okay. Nothing too extravagant with the Palm Sunday service. It was just, sometimes it would be extra long.
Okay.
Because of people preparing for next week. You know, it might have been the announcements, whether or not the pastor had to say, like you said, we had sunrise service. So, and I do believe we had an afternoon service also on Easter.
Oh,
so we would have like 2 to 3 services on the Easter. If not 2 to 3 services, it felt like a second service or a third service, because we would have, you know, of course, our Easter parade type thing. But so, you know, people would kind of hear the logistics of that on Palm Sunday.
Okay.
Prior to the waving of the palms. So, yeah. So, no, Palm Sunday wasn't extra long for us. How about you?
For us, I attended Sunday school. So it felt a little longer, like you said, because Sunday school was a little bit more drawn out. Because you had to first have this whole story about what it was.
Right.
Sometimes, depending upon when in the month this all fell, did it fall on the first Sunday? Like this year, Palm Sunday falls on the first Sunday.
Right.
So I can imagine, you know, you not only have to juggle distribution of palms, but also distribution of the Holy Sacrament as well. So it could take a little bit longer. So I can certainly say starting with Sunday school and going over the whole story and all those things. And like you said, starting to prepare for whatever you had to say on Resurrection Sunday or Easter Sunday. You know, you're doing that rehearsal along with trying to learn your lesson for Sunday, Palm Sunday and Easter. So yeah, I would say at times it was a little bit longer of a service.
Yeah. So otherwise, it was okay. You know, like I said, for myself, I was just excited, especially with my birthday being in the following week, and especially if if it was one of those weeks where we didn't have school,
right?
You know, so my friends and I that were there, we would talk about, hey, well, this is what we're going to do. Also, the other part of that would be because for myself being an altar boy, and those who don't know what altar boys are, they're acolytes. If you don't understand who those are people that carry the cross and the candles and the snuffers and things like that, and more or less a Catholic processional. As for myself, I didn't know any other African American denominations that had done it except for my particular church. Because even in my denomination, I didn't see too many of us doing that.
Right.
By my time. Now, earlier than me, like the generation right before me, there were a lot more AME churches doing that. I know your church had hit or miss for a while.
Right.
But it was not a widespread thing. You know, so for myself, it was also Palm Sunday meant this is what needs to happen this coming week leading up to Easter.
Okay.
So I had other duties such as cleaning candelabrums, getting ready for Good Friday, things like that. So Palm Sunday for me meant not just, oh yeah, it's my birthday time, but it also meant, hey, this is what work you need to do from the church perspective. And depending on, like you said, depending on when Easter had fallen and how involved we were, either it was YPD, which is Young People's Department, or the choir, youth choir, we may have had to help do food next week. We had to serve. So a lot of times Palm Sunday ended up being more of a logistic type Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah, find out that type of stuff for us. Yeah. Now, it wasn't every year. It was hit or miss, you know. I mean, but more often than not, for us, especially our youth choir, we sang sunrise service. And that was like the hardest thing. That would be the hardest thing. So, you know, sometimes you didn't want to hear that news on Palm Sunday. So, knowing that the following Saturday, we got kind of rehearsal. Or we have to sing on Good Friday and on Palm Sunday. I mean, on Easter Sunday. So, you know, it's a lot of things that happen on Palm Sunday for me.
Right.
But I do remember it being a little joyous and happy-go-lucky for the most part. You know, for the most part, I can't complain about it.
And I think, you know, biblically it was joyous. It was a joyous time where everybody, like you said, when you were reading the scripture, everybody was shouting out Hosanna, you know. So it was a joyous time. People were laying their palms down, kind of laying like red carpet down, as Jesus rode in. So when you think about red carpet events, they're always joyous and fun, you know, times. You know, I know my daughter and I look forward to red carpet events. We watch them on TV.
You're right.
And we look at everybody's outfits and things like that. So and it draws a crowd. So likewise, biblically, and likewise, even in today's standards, you know, us all coming together and celebrating Jesus and his life is a great time.
Right.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Right. So, again, why don't y'all tell us what goes on in your church? Tell us, you know, some of your own Palm Sunday experiences. You know, were you like me preparing for Easter Sunday, Easter week, Holy Week, leading up into Easter. Let us know, did you have to wear anything special? Were you one of the young ladies handing out the palms? With me being an altar boy, I had a chance to see from the pastor's perspective, with me being up front, and I could see out into the congregation just the joy that it looked and how nice it looked for everyone to wave their palms back and forth.
Yeah.
It was a really, really pretty sight. It was a really pretty sight. And so for me to have that type of experience, you almost want that experience every Sunday.
Right. Now, I can go from the flip side because I wasn't an altar girl or altar boy. But I do remember one of my first, like you said, what are one of those experiences that sticks in your head? I do remember being a younger person, perhaps again, maybe middle schoolish.
Okay.
But being in the back because the kids had to sit in the back at that particular time under that leadership, very, very strict. And we all had to sit in the back and she, would pop us in the back of the head if we did this or did that. So, so I do remember seeing it from that perspective, from the back of the church, everybody waving their palms, and it did look good. You know what I mean? It was fun. It was lighthearted, as you're saying. It was joyous. I can say I didn't understand what it was and what it meant at that time, even with going to, Sunday school, but appreciating it more now. Appreciating it more now. So, it was a good time. But I can see, again, like you said, just that, it's almost like now when you go to a concert and they say, everybody put your hands up and wave your hands from side to side, but it's a different feeling because this one's for Jesus.
Right.
So, or they put their flashlights up and they waving it from side to side or whatever. But now in church, we're doing it with palm.
Yeah.
I know another time we had talked a little bit about what some churches are doing that are different from others. I think everywhere for Palm Sunday, they've always had palm. Like I can't say like they've done something non-traditional. I do remember one time at church, we didn't have a lot of money. So everybody had to just get one or two.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what I mean by having the young people pass them out.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't, you're not paying attention. And like you said, sometimes you might have the mothers of the church say, hey, give me a little bit more.
Right.
You know, and where you expect for them to say no. So, yeah, I'm sorry, but go ahead.
Yeah, so I just think, I forget what was going on at that particular time. I don't know if it was a crop issue or, shipment issue.
You know what? I do remember.
You remember that year? Yeah, it was just like, we were looking like, that's all we got.
Yeah, I remember a few times where it seemed palms were a little scarce. Yeah,
like it was really hard to find them. And then like you couldn't go to, like your florist didn't have a whole bunch of things sitting outside, like, the grave markers and things like that people take on Palm Sunday to the cemeteries. It just was not a lot of them.
Right.
So I do remember there was one year about that. And then the last little thing I want to say is I would come, when I was in high school, we would talk about Palm Sunday and things like that. I had a little group at lunchtime. We would discuss Bible and just Christian teaching, and we would debate a little bit with Jehovah's Witnesses and things like that. So we went into like this palm thing, and I think, it was like, well, where do the palms come from? And I was like, they come from a palm tree, right?
Wow.
And then we got to, one friend was from Puerto Rico, and she was like, no, there's different palms. You got a palm bush, you got a palm tree, you got all these different things. So I don't know. It's just very, very interesting to kind of then at that point get educated about how many different palms there are and different things like that. Because my, city living, I only knew of palm trees. That's all I knew. I didn't know there were all these different types of palm. So she did educate me and let me know that there's different types.
Now, at that time, were you one of them people that say, no, that's not true, that's not true? Or did you just take it?
I kind of was like, well, I went to Florida. I saw palm trees. I don't remember seeing palm bushes, but you from somewhere else. So, maybe there are, so, And then she was like, well, what do you, when you go to, that's how we got into on Palm Sunday. That's not where the palms come from. They don't come from a palm tree and so forth and so on. So, I was like, okay, yeah, I guess you're right. So, so that was just kind of interesting. Another note for palms.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Yeah. So again, y'all tell us your stories. We would love to hear from you. We would love to share. If you would love to be a guest to talk to us about it, that's fine with us too.
Or talk to us about anything,
Right.
any experiences you have. Again, we're all here hoping that we're growing the kingdom,
Right.
that we're giving you some fruit to think about,
Right.
food for thought. So again, if you are interested in coming in and being a guest on the show, just hit us up at FIT. That's Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We would love to hear from you. If you would like to comment, you can certainly send us a direct message and we can, reach back out to you that way. But we encourage you to have a blessed Holy Week, everybody.
Thank y'all very much.
God bless you, and we love you.
Talk to y'all later.
God.
Peace.
Bye-bye.
Don't forget that your skin is your largest organ, and the sun can be your skin's worst enemy. Dermatologist recommended Neutrogena products offer the ultimate protection for your skin. From makeup remover wipes to Hydro Boost Water Gel Facial Moisturizer, BJ's has your entire lineup of Neutrogena skincare products. And now through December 3rd, save $4 on any Neutrogena product at BJ's. Love your skin back and save now through December 3rd, only at BJ's.
We all know a guy who only occasionally shaves for big occasions, and it's because that occasional shave really hurts. It's the time of year for big occasions, and yet there he is, suffering with that cheap drugstore razor. Let's help him out. Henson Shaving's line of razors, built with aerospace precision, deliver a smooth shave your dad, brother, and even son can enjoy, eventually. With replacement blades just 10 cents each, you'll buy it once, and they'll use it for life. How's that for the perfect gift? Celebrate with 100 free blades on your first purchase, and no subscription headaches. HensonShaving.com/holiday.